Processing the sudden appearance of his twin sister, asks Pyre if their mother's family intends to back his claim to recover his inheritance. Pyre shakes her head, clarifying that aside from providing him safe transport, the family will not intervene directly in the political matter. Frustrated, Saya questions how he is supposed to reclaim his birthright when his enemies already want him dead, fearing that returning now would be like walking straight into a trap. Pyre nonchalantly states that she only followed her given instructions and knows nothing more about their family's overall plans. However, before turning away, she cryptically suggests that her brother should think carefully about whether he has any other hidden advantages he is yet to use. Left to ponder her parting words, a confused Saya initially wonders what hidden card he could possibly have up his sleeve. Suddenly, his eyes widen as a realization hits him. He quickly pulls out the mysterious scroll given to him by the witch Yin. Saya begins to connect the dots of the prophecy, noting that it instructed him to find the first person he knew, which was Pyre, and to return to where it all began, perfectly matching his upcoming trip to their ancestral homeland to reclaim what is rightfully his. However, he struggles to decipher the final clue regarding a crowned figure at the peak of the stars, wondering if it refers to his mother's influential family or a different, unknown entity entirely. Overwhelmed by the cryptic puzzle, Saya clutches his head in frustration while Tong Dun watches him with concern. Determined to find the answer, Saya abruptly stands up and orders his sister to turn the ship around, intending to go back and clear things up. Tong Dun steps in, asking if Saya really intends to return to the alleyway. Saya confirms his plan, stating he needs to confront Yin to clarify the final line of the prophecy, believing it holds the ultimate key to solving his current predicament. Tong Dun's expression turns grim, warning his friend that he is going to be disappointed. The massive warrior reveals an unsettling truth, explaining that just minutes after they had left the area, he had looked back down the street only to find the enigmatic woman and her shop had completely vanished without a trace. Tong Dun finishes by stating it was as if they had never existed in this world, leaving Saya reeling in absolute shock at the revelation. Meanwhile, on the transport ship, a fierce sparring match begins in the reinforced training room, marked by a massive, blinding clash of cyan and golden-orange energy. Pushing his limits, the elf prodigy Anong Turing unleashes a relentless barrage of powerful cyan energy beams at his high-level opponent. Despite the fierce and rapid assault, Haiji Dao remains completely unfazed, casually deflecting the intense energy blasts using only his sword. Watching from the sidelines, Lu Shang observes the explosive clash and silently praises the elf's excellent combat talent. He notes that Anong Turing's immortal-level status is genuinely impressive. He deduces that the unique green energy the elf manipulates is likely tied to a powerful law based on simulation and copying. He mentally compares the elf's abilities to a certain comic book superhero from his past life on Earth, noting the similarities in how both use green energy and rely heavily on their imagination to manifest constructs and boost their combat power. Seeing the demonstration has gone on long enough, Haiji Dao tightly grips the hilt of his weapon as intense golden energy flares around him, firmly declaring an end to the exchange. With a swift, powerful swing, Haiji Dao unleashes a devastating wave of energy that effortlessly cuts through Anong Turing's cyan attacks. The elf prodigy cries out in shock as the overwhelming force easily breaks through his defenses. Staring at the glowing blade now halted inches from his face, a humbled Anong Turing concedes defeat. He admits that the power gap between them is simply too vast, confessing he couldn't even manage to get close to the level 13 expert. Sheathing his sword, Haiji Dao reassures the young prodigy that he will bridge that gap in time. He offers constructive advice, suggesting that the elf should abandon his flashy, superficial tricks and focus his training specifically on refining his strongest, core techniques to significantly boost his overall combat power. Grateful for the guidance, Anong Turing places a hand over his chest and respectfully thanks Haiji Dao, acknowledging that he had been considering that very approach and has learned a great deal from the sparring match. Stepping forward, Lu Shang casually asks Haiji Dao if the experienced warrior was able to identify the specific type of law that the elf manipulates. Pondering the question, Haiji Dao explains that many laws possess highly complex traits that defy simple summaries. He admits he can only roughly sense that the law is able to temporarily modify the environment, but the exact mechanism remains unclear.
The nature of Aonong Turing's power, but lacks the ability to describe it with absolute precision. Aonong Turing asks Haiji Dao for his honest assessment, wondering if the instructor considers his specific law to be powerful. Haiji Dao explains that laws form the fundamental operating basis of the universe, so no law is inherently weak. Instead, a law's true strength is entirely determined by how deeply a warrior masters and develops it. To illustrate his point, Haiji Dao uses the concept of planetary gravity. He explains that gravity is not just a simple force, but a universal physical law capable of causing massive destruction or sustaining a stable environment, depending entirely on how it is applied. Still curious, Aonong Turing presses further, asking whose law is ultimately stronger between himself and the instructor. Internally, Haiji Dao acknowledges the harsh truth that laws definitely have distinct tiers of power, and the absolute gap between them can be massive. As Lu Sheng steps forward to take his turn, Haiji Dao mentally notes that Lu Sheng's law of thunder is naturally an extremely dominant and powerful law. By comparison, he knows the elf's green law suffers from a crushing natural disadvantage, but he chooses to keep this to himself to avoid completely demoralizing the young prodigy. Shifting his focus, Haiji Dao readies his stance and asks Lu Sheng if they should begin their match. With his eyes glowing a fierce golden yellow, Lu Sheng calmly confirms that he is ready. As intense golden and fiery energy erupts around him, Lu Sheng strategizes internally. He reminds himself that this is merely a sparring match, not a fight to the death. He reflects on his 7 emotions blade technique, which fuses 2 emotional laws and is lethal enough to easily slaughter level 13 beasts. Lu Sheng decides against using his strongest attacks, fearing that unleashing them would accidentally kill the instructor. Taking a horizontal floating stance across the room from his opponent, he resolves to carefully hold back and measure the output of his lesser techniques, hoping that will be sufficient for the spar. Crackling with golden lightning, Lu Sheng confidently warns the older warrior to be careful and advises him to stop the match immediately if the pressure becomes too much to handle. Gripping his sword as his purple aura flares, Haiji Dao is initially insulted by the warning. He silently scoffs at Lu Sheng's arrogance, finding it ridiculous that he, the designated main instructor, is being told to watch his back by a student. However, Haiji Dao's annoyance quickly fades into nervous apprehension as he breaks a cold sweat. He suddenly recalls that Lu Sheng isn't just a talented rookie like Aonong Turing, but a genuine battle-hardened expert who has successfully killed a level 13 general-class beast. Realizing the true threat he faces, Haiji Dao decides to take the sparring match seriously. He powers up, gathering a dense, swirling aura of dark purple energy around his legs as he prepares his assault. Seeing his opponent finally unleash his power, Lu Sheng's eyes glow with an intense golden light as he mentally notes that the fight is finally about to get interesting. Lu Sheng responds by unleashing his own overwhelming aura. The intense energy burns away his upper garments, revealing a glowing sunlight crest on his chest, with volatile white and golden flames whip wildly around his muscular physique. Wasting no time, Haiji Dao lunges forward, his purple energy flaring aggressively as he closes the distance. He swings his blade with tremendous force, executing a devastating high-level technique designed for absolute slaughter. The strike manifests as a colossal, blinding construct of destructive purple energy that illuminates the entire reinforced training room. The massive energy beam crashes directly into Lu Sheng, completely engulfing him in a point-blank explosion. However, as the destructive energy begins to dissipate, Lu Sheng is entirely unharmed, wearing a confident, mocking smirk. Haiji Dao's confidence shatters into pure shock. He stares in disbelief, unable to comprehend how his ultimate attack failed to inflict even a single scratch on the younger warrior. Standing tall amidst the fading remnants of the attack, Lu Sheng's dominant golden aura flares even brighter, showcasing the terrifying durability of his supreme physique. Instantly going on the offensive, Lu Sheng rockets high into the air, surrounded by a chaotic, swirling vortex of multicolored elemental energies, blending fire, lightning, and pure cosmic power. Drawing his glowing fist back, Lu Sheng prepares his counterattack, channeling the profound laws of his 4 seasons martial arts technique into a single concentrated strike. He descends upon Haiji Dao like a blazing meteor, bringing down his fist, Staring up at the overwhelming, godlike display of power about to crush him, a terrified Haiji Dao loses all of his confidence.
Previous composure, screaming in sheer panic as the devastating attack closes in. This is the end of the video. If you would like to watch the next part, please subscribe to our channel. Lu Sheng unleashes a devastating punch but stops short, sending a massive shockwave that blows Haiji Dao backward. The older warrior uses his large sword to anchor himself against the overwhelming force. Lu Sheng stands completely unfazed by the exchange. Haiji Dao is unable to comprehend the immense power he just witnessed. Aonong Turing watches the outcome in stunned silence. The elf prodigy is terrified. He reflects that while he knew the power gap would be absurd, he never imagined the result would be this extreme. Aonong Turing notes that even the mere aftershocks were unbearable, shuddering at the terrifying thought of what would have happened if Lu Sheng hadn't held back. Haiji Dao realizes that Lu Sheng deliberately stopped his attack out of fear of killing him with a single punch. Haiji Dao notes the dark irony of the situation, recognizing that his own ultimate, full-strength slash was less powerful than Lu Sheng simply halting his strike. Haiji Dao was further humbled by the realization that Lu Sheng achieved this overwhelming dominance without even using his true trump card, the Law of Thunder. Despite his absolute victory, Lu Sheng is disappointed. He thinks that he was very close to advancing his punch technique to the 6th realm, but will have to wait for his next breakthrough. He notes that his comprehension of the 5 seasons punch has reached the absolute limit of the 5th realm, requiring just a little more effort to cross the final threshold. Lu Sheng considers that he could easily achieve the breakthrough by throwing a full-strength punch in the real world, but hesitates due to the severe consequences. He concludes that a full-power strike would not only destroy the heavily reinforced cultivation space, but would also instantly obliterate Haiji Dao. Lu Sheng reflects on his own strength. He realizes that having the power to effortlessly annihilate a level 13 expert before even reaching the 6th realm means his stellar law is far more powerful than he initially thought. He deduces that Haiji Dao's law is related to withering, giving Lu Sheng a natural and overwhelming advantage in their matchup. Lu Sheng asks the two humbled warriors what their plans are now. Haiji Dao admits that Lu Sheng no longer needs to participate in any special training. Lu Sheng accepts this without argument, telling them to continue practicing on their own as he leaves. Lu Sheng reflects on his future, eagerly anticipating his arrival in the celestial serpent galaxy, realizing that the current 100 great star regions are now too small to contain his growing power and ambition. A noticeable tremor shakes the ship, putting Haiji Dao and Aonong Turing on high alert. The tension fades as Aonong Turing notes that the oppressive aura outside has vanished. He announces that they have finally crossed safely out of the outer space battlefield. Lu Sheng wonders how they managed to escape so quickly and questions what exactly happened with the Lord of Oblivion. Far away, Saya stands silently, dressed in an elegant, high-ranking military-style coat belonging to his family. He has reclaimed the luxurious and imposing appearance befitting the former young master of the Liars family. However, despite his regal attire, Saya is overwhelmed with deep anxiety and unease. His twin sister, Pai Shou, presses him for a decision, reminding him that the succession banquet begins in just 10 minutes. Saya is fully aware of what waits on the other side. Overcome with hesitation, he admits that he doesn't know if he can go through with it. Within a massive, luxurious mansion nestled in a lush forest on planet Merdona, the ancestral homeland of the Liars family, Saya finds himself paralyzed by fear. Although he successfully made the journey back, he lacks the courage to leave his secure room. Pai Shou points out that the Liars family still doesn't know he has arrived, meaning he is safe for the moment. However, she challenges his cowardice, asking what good it will do to keep hiding. Pai Shou issues a harsh reality check. She reminds him that the Liars family's power and influence span across multiple star regions, making it impossible for him to simply run away and avoid their pursuit forever. Pai Shou lays out his only two realistic options. She explains that he must either flee across 10 star regions to hide under a fake name forever, or build a force even greater than the Liars family to return and conquer them all. Overwhelmed by the extreme nature of these choices, Saya tells her to stop talking. Saya rationalizes that a single person toppling an ancient
ancient business empire is a plot meant for fantasy novels. Accepting reality, he finally gathers his courage and declares that he will attend the banquet. Yin's prophecy flashes his mind, reminding him to return to where it all began to claim his birthright. Saya solidifies his resolve, realizing he must face his family regardless of what any
dictates. Sia leaves his room and descends the mansion's grand staircase. Tang Dun greets him, praising his friend for making the right choice to step forward. Sia is momentarily caught off guard by the enthusiastic support. Desperate for an edge, Sia demands to know if Tang Dun has uncovered some secret advantage or hidden knowledge about the situation. Tang Dun admits that he simply wants to try the luxurious banquet food and was worried he'd miss it if Sia stayed hidden. Sia's excitement instantly deflates at his friend's entirely food-driven motivation. Meanwhile, in the bustling banquet hall, the lavish room is packed with elegantly dressed nobles. President Hobart makes his entrance, drawing the attention and respectful greetings of the attendees. Guests gossip among themselves, discussing the death of the Larcia's family patriarch 6 months ago. They note that tonight's banquet will officially decide the new heir, and that Wells is currently the undeniable frontrunner. Wells introduces his fiancée, Mei Fu, to President Hobart. President Hobart flatters Mei Fu, claiming her beauty outshines the stars. Wells acknowledges President Hobart's role in his success, admitting that he could not have secured his current position of power so easily without the president's corrupt support. President Hobart politely replies that he is always happy to support energetic young people who have a promising future. Hobart excuses himself, claiming he needs to speak with the president of the Obsidian Star region. Mei Fu remarks to Wells that the president's attitude seems rather ambiguous and non-committal. Wells explains that Hobart is a cunning old fox who avoids risky bets, only supporting Wells because he is the current presumptive heir. He adds that if a stronger candidate appeared, Hobart would abandon him without a second thought. Mei Fu informs Wells of recent intelligence indicating that Sia actually survived her recent assassination attempt and escaped. Unfazed, Wells reveals he already knows that the Bayueshu family intervened to take Sia away, but asks Mei Fu if she really believes they intend to help him. Wells notes that the Bayueshu is indeed Sia's maternal family, but he assures Mei Fu that they will absolutely not offer Sia any real assistance in reclaiming his title. When Mei Fu asks why, Wells explains that the Bayueshu family are, at their core, calculating merchants. Viewing the situation purely as a business transaction, Wells details the merchant philosophy. Before making any investment, a true merchant calculates not only the potential rate of return, but more crucially, the actual probability of success. Wells asks Mei Fu to consider just how incredibly low the odds are of a failure like Sia actually managing to become the Larcia's family patriarch. This is the end of the video. If you would like to watch the next part, please subscribe to our channel.